Hello and welcome to Do-It-Yourself Musician. Today we're going to have a look at what's in this box, and if you read the title of the video, you already know what it is, so I'm not going to wait any longer to tell you what it is. This is a couple of Valley People Kepex 2 gates. I've got two of them in here. I'll just take one out. These are, like I said, these are Kepex 2s. There's the faceplate on them. These are what Valley People called an 800 series. They're expander gates. I'm sure you're all familiar with those. I bought these, I don't know how long ago. I mean, years ago. They've just been in my storage. I've always maybe wanted to rack them up or something, so I don't know if they work. I don't know anything about them, so I think what I want to do today is maybe try to power them up and send the signal through them and see if they're working, just like what kind of condition they're in. But like I said, I don't have a rack. These would go in like a PR2 or a PR10, I think is what Valley People called them. They would of course seat into a card edge connector on this side, and I don't have a card edge connector either. So I think if I'm gonna power these up, I'm gonna have to take a little bit of a look at the schematic and see how I can feed it power. It does take plus minus 15 volts, I believe. I do have the schematics for it. And along with these, and some hopes and dreams, maybe we'll get them running. Let's see. Okay, before we get started, if you don't know a whole lot about Valley People, they were basically famous for making devices centered around their VCAs, all right? This was their earliest VCA. This is the EGC 101. That stands for Electronic Gain Control. Then later, and perhaps more famous, they had the TA 101. That stands for Transistor Array. Then later there was a TA 104. And those are just really hyper-matched transistor arrays. They're not really full VCAs in a package. It takes some circuitry around it to make it operate properly. One reason for that is DBX actually owns the patent to the VCA, and Valley People was one of the few, if not the only, company back in the day that had a license from DBX to make VCAs. Now, this particular unit that you're looking at here, the brown face, this pyramid on it, what is that, the Eye of Ra or something? That's so cool. I just love the graphics on these things. This is probably a early 80s unit. I'm actually not, let me see here. Here's a little better look at that. That's the EGC 101. And the previous company actually was called Allison Research. I got that upside down. There, EGC 101. And it says Allison Research on it. That was the company that later merged with Valley Audio to become Valley People. And then later in their life, they were called Valley Audio. Okay. Yeah, the date codes that I'm seeing on here are basically 1984. So that's going to be the era from which these came. I'm going to take one of these and, like I said, I'm going to study up on maybe how to get some power into this guy and a signal. I don't have a card edge connector. This is a 60 pin. There's 30 each side, and oftentimes these are not the same signal on each side, so you can't just grab it with an alligator clip. So I'm going to have to look and see where I can feed some signal in here to see if we can get these guys to operate, and hopefully don't blow it up if it's not already blown up. Okay, this is the section of the schematic that's showing where the power input is. You've got your plus 15 volts on pins 29 and 30, your minus 15 volts on pins 31 and 32. And that is actually correct. However, the plus 15 volt rail actually lands at the positive side of C8, not C14, as it says here. Yeah, here's a C8, C14, and this rail here is the positive 15 volts. It's going to be very difficult to see, but there's a trace that goes to the positive side of C8. Then the negative side of C8 is connected to the positive side C14. So this schematic is actually backwards. So be careful of things like that, because if you were to hook power in there according to the schematic, I mean, that's backwards, completely backwards of what it is. But I think I should be able to grab on to the legs of these caps to give us plus minus 15 volt input to the board. And then this trace up here is ground, and I can just grab probably this resistor here. I can grab that leg for the ground. So let's go ahead and set up the power supply for plus and minus 15 volts. All right, let's set this guy up here. I'm gonna put it in series mode because we need plus and minus voltage here. And we're gonna set voltage at 30 volts. And the reason for that is we're in series mode and we're gonna tap the center. So we're gonna get 15 plus, 15 minus. So we got to set 30. Current, I think this is expecting 85. So we're going to put 100 milliamps in there for current. Then we're going to, let's see, over current protection. Let's set that up too. Definitely want to set that guy up. All right, so this is going to be our positive 15 volts. This is going to be our negative 15 volts. And we can just put our reference here. It can actually go either here or here. Just put it there because it makes sense. And that's how you set that up. And let me show you how I'm going to hook it to the board. Okay, here's these two capacitors, C8, C14. We are going to hook our positive 15 volts onto the positive leg of C8. Put it in there. And we're going to hook our negative 15 up to the negative leg of C14. And that doesn't look like anything's touching. That's always good. And I think, like I said, I think we can grab ground off of our 20 here, maybe. Get him in there. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and turn the output on, and hopefully nothing explodes. I'm just kind of joking because we put limits on this thing, and it's really relatively safe. It'll limit out if there's something wrong, this thing will just shut off. So let's turn the outputs on and see what happens. That looks fairly decent to me. All right, I can see, hopefully you can too, signs of life. Got a, I don't want to handle this too much. Got an LED going there. I don't know. Yeah. All right, it's doing something. Let me measure some voltages here on the board. Okay, this double trace right here, this is ground. And right next to it is the plus 15. Yep, plus 15 there. And then the one next to that's the minus 15. Yep, minus 15 there. That's good. Okay, so there's a 5 volt output that is 1, 2, 3, should be right here. And yes, 5 volts. Okay. Because there's a 7805 regulator on the board that makes 5 volts for this system. And it seems like all the voltages are here. So I think now we just need to put a signal into it. Okay, so on the schematic here you can see where the audio input is on pins 2 and 4. So what I've done is I've clipped on my input lead here to that side of R8 right there. That this trace leads to pin 1, and my negative is just it's picking up a ground over here. This is a ground trace that kind of runs common through the whole thing, and it's just an easy place to pick it up. And as far as the output goes, okay, you can see right here on the schematic the audio output on pin 13 and 14, which is correct. But however, this is a little different schematic than what my board is. This component is not there. I think this might be a ferrite bead. It says FB1, so I'm assuming that's what that is. And it does come off of pin 6, but not pin 6 of U18. I believe it's pin 6 of U10 on my board. But it is still pin 6 and leads to the same number pin on the output. So what I've done is I've clipped to a resistor that is actually in this line. So yeah, I've clipped to this output side of R29, which is actually in line with pin 6 of U10 here. So this is the last chip for the output. This is the op amp on the output. And then this resistor is in line. So this schematic is a little bit different. And I'm picking up ground for the output again on the same ground trace. This resistor right here is just connected to this ground trace. So it's all the same ground here. And that's going to be my output ground. And this is heading back into the mixer and back into the audio interface to be recorded. So I'm not going to use the signal generator to put a tone into this because that doesn't make a lot of sense on a gate. Because the gate needs to close down after it basically gets a transient. So what I'm going to do is just output a signal from my interface. It's just going to come out of my DAW, a snare drum sound, and I went ahead and put a big old reverb on there and let's try to get it to gate some reverb. I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, I'm just running out of my DAW through my interface into this. Okay, so you can see here's the DAW. I've just got this drummer program in here, and I've got Valhalla Vintage Verb set to a pretty long decay here. And it's actually the gate is in bypass. So this is the bypass signal. So you can hear it's quite a long decay. So let's see what happens when we actually feed this into the gate. Okay, I've got you in there where you can kind of see what's going on. And you'll notice that we are out right now, not in. So again, bypass sound. You can see nothing's happening there. And the instruction manual, it does have a basic setup for this for drums, and I've already done that. Kind of dialed it in a little bit, and if you push it in, now we're in. And let's see what happens. And you can see there that it's doing the thing. So you can see and I don't claim that sounds amazing or anything. We're just testing this out. And these controls do seem to work for the most part. Yeah, and there is a little bit of that. This gate can oscillate, is what it says in the manual. So I don't know if that's normal that it's doing that. Yeah, you hear that? That's weird. I would suspect it's probably not supposed to be doing that. So overall, it is doing the thing. It's doing the gate thing. This is your range. This is like how deep it's gonna just cut it off completely. You can see there's a little bit of whatever that is going on there too. So overall, it's working, and attack and release seem to be. Yeah, so that's a very slow release. I mean, that's in the this release goes up into seconds. And the attack, let's do a slower. Yeah, so I don't know. There's a little something going on here, and I'm not sure how much I want to actually troubleshoot this thing right now, because it is basically functioning right at the moment. I want to check both of the gates out in this video. But I think what I would like to do is actually take out the ECG and try to clean it. It could be some contact thing like that that's making that happen. I have no idea, but I mean, it seems like a thing to do. So I'm going to try to do that real quick and see if it changes that oscillation at all. That could be normal. I don't know. I don't think it would oscillate that much, but I don't have any experience with these gates in practical use, but let's try that. First things first, let's kill this power. All right, let's see how easy this is to get out of here. Okay, just kind of, this is just in some regular dip socket here. It's like a 16-pin dip socket. I just want to make sure that the alignment's correct. And also our pin 1's on the lower left here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean these pins off, and I'm going to clean the socket out best I can too. All right, on this EGC 101, I'm just going to clean these contacts with a little bit of alcohol. Actually, I'm going to clean this whole bottom. Clean this whole bottom up. Then I'm going to use Deoxit D100. A little bit on a Q-tip and just who knows, maybe that'll help. So on this dip socket here, I'm just going to apply a little bit of the D100, just as small amount as I can in every other little pin here. It should be, there's only 3 on this side, so that one, and that one. All right, let's see if that changed anything. I kind of don't think it really did. Nope. Okay, so it's still exhibiting that behavior. Yeah, so we'll have to figure out what that is. If anybody has experience with these gates, let me know. Is that natural? Because that manual does mention that it can oscillate. Maybe they're not. This one's not perfect. But like I said, I don't want to spend any more time with it right now. Let's bring the other one in and hook it up and see if it at least works as much as this one does. Okay, so this guy's not wanting to power up, so I'm actually going to remove my input and output signals and double check how I'm powering this and make sure that it's not me that's causing the problem right now. And get ground over here. So positive 14, excuse me, positive 15, I don't have nothing. I've got my negative rail, but I don't have my positive rail. I think that was the 5. I don't remember where the 5 volt was. I think it was that guy. I don't see a 5 volt rail either. Something's going on. I feel like, is this making good contact? Right at the moment, I feel like I'm causing this problem. It's not the board. Oh, there we go. I think we got it now. Let's see what we have. Yeah, let me grab it over here. Wait, I just moved that. Hopefully it didn't take it away. Yep, there's our positive 15. Looks good. All right, yep, and we got an LED. Let's see if I can remember how this other one was set, kinda. There we go. Okay. Signs of life. Good. All right. Okay. Whoa. That was weird. Got like a real loud transient then. Let's see. It's working. It's working. Sorry, I keep blocking the camera. Yeah, see, there's some of that oscillation. I don't hear it as much. It's weird. I don't really hear the oscillation. Maybe, I wonder if I change linear. Yeah. So it's definitely, you can see, see how this is acting? Because that's the linear release mode, and then log is, you're gonna see it's not gonna be so, it's like not so stretched out. So it makes me wonder if that's just the gate acting, because I don't hear that as much. I'm not saying I don't hear it, but I'm not hearing that oscillation in the gate like I am on the other one. So maybe it is supposed to act like that, but you're just not supposed to hear it. I mean, that could be the case. There's some kind of self oscillation there. Look at that! Wow. But I don't believe I'm hearing that. I'm not hearing it through the speakers. The other gate, I could hear that. Yeah, listen to that. Here that gradually tapers off. Let's go linear on that one. Yeah, that's more like what I expect. Yeah, you can hear it there. So yeah, this is doing. Okay, it is doing the same thing the other one was doing. I don't know. I'm going to say that it basically works, which is good. Okay, well, there you go. There's the Valley People Kepex 2 gates that I have. I think I'm going to call it end to the video for now because it's just going to get too long if I keep going. But they basically work, which is awesome. Still need to do a little troubleshooting. There is also an alignment procedure for these. I don't know what that noise is in there when the gate is sort of closing down and it's making a noise. It probably is not supposed to be audible, is what I would think. I could be wrong about that. If somebody has experience with these, leave comments below. Ultimately, what I would like to do with these is to rack them up. I want to build my own power supply, my own back plane, put them in a rack. And then I'll just have a 2-space rack for these Kepex 2s and the other Valley People units like the MaxiQ or the Game Brain or whatever I can get. I could use them in that rack because I'd like to make a rack myself. I've never done it before. It's probably going to be a lot more expensive than just buying Valley People PR2. Those are probably a couple $100 on eBay, but I still just want to just make one myself. And to that end, I've bought some card edge connectors. That could be one of the reasons these are making noise. I don't know. I'm not feeding in a balanced input or anything. So, to continue the troubleshooting, basically is what I'm saying is I want to kind of get kind of a power supply going, card edge input or card edge connector on it so the power and the inputs are proper. Then we can align them and continue the troubleshooting, and that'll be in a video down the road here. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed that one, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell to receive notifications, and I'll see you on the next one.